writing exponential functions, and we're going to use our series workbook starting on page 207. So for our 207, look at number 1. It says the initial value of an exponential function is 1.8. Okay, so if you remember on the equation I gave you yesterday, there is a place for the initial value. The rate of growth is 4.2%, which models the value of the function y over time t. Do you remember I told you yesterday in the notes that the rate will always be a decimal? So you want to be able to do that. You want to change your decimal, your percent right here into a decimal. If you have 4.2%, and how would you change the percent to a decimal? Do you guys remember? You have to move your decimal 2 spaces to the right, right? Because it's a percent. So you have 1, 2, and the decimal moves there, and you get rid of the percent. So your decimal is actually 0.042. That's your decimal, right? You also have to decide, is it a growth or is it a decay? Here it tells you that it is a growth. Okay, so there I changed the percent to a decimal, so it became 0.042. And then it says rate of growth, which means that it was supposed to be 1 plus the rate inside the parentheses, right? So you add a 1 to this decimal here, and that's how you get the number here in the middle. So which one so far looks like the best answer? Very good. Yep. C is correct. C is correct because here's the 1.8 as your initial. Here's the rate of growth. We add the 1 plus the decimal, and then it's to the t power for time. Okay. Now here in this little box it says that you need to remember this. It's not going to be given to you in the formula chart. So you need to remember that it's ab to the x power, but b becomes 1 plus r if it's a growth, or 1 minus r if it's a decay, okay? That's what b becomes. Okay, let's move on to the next problem, number 3. So an exponential function decays at a rate of 20% and has an initial value of 13, which represents the function. There's a couple of clues here. It says that it's a decay. Here's your rate and the initial amount. So on your own, look at the answer choices and decide which one would be correct. As it says it's a decay, we're going to use 1 minus r to the t power, right? Which means a is the initial, so it's supposed to be at 13 for sure in the beginning. When you look here, this is negative 13, so we cannot use it. This is 13, 13, 13, we're okay. So it has to be 13 times 1 minus the percent, 20%, but we're going to change it to a decimal. So it's actually 0.20 minus 0.20 to the t power. So with your calculator, subtract 0.20 from 1, right? It's like saying 20 cents taken away from $1. What's left over? 80 cents, right? So it's 13 times 0.80 cents. And in this case, it could be this one. The answer is D. So good job on those of you that got it. Okay, for sure it's not C because they added this subtraction symbol in the middle. No, there's no subtraction in the middle. Right here between A and the parentheses, no. Here on letter B, they try to trick you by adding the 1, but they added it to the 80%. So no. Questions on number 3? Okay, let's move on. number 5. Okay, so here in number 5, we're going to be using the same formula for the exponential rate. It says a student put $1,500 in a savings account. That's already the initial amount, right? That's the amount that they start with. Okay, that paid 3% interest compounded annually. Okay, here's your rate. And then they tell you compounded annually. That's a big clue there, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. The function that models the value of the account y after t years is, okay, look, they give you the equation. Y equals, here's your initial amount. Okay, so it's a griddable. Whenever you have a griddable, you have to be very careful with these, right? If you're at 3%, well, the first thing is you have to decide, is this a growth or is it a decay, right? So what do you guys think? If you're getting interest, are you adding money or is money being taken away in a savings account? So if you open up a savings account, does the bank take money away from that savings account? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, here's the thing. They're not talking about money from his pocket. They're talking about if the student puts money into a savings account, they want to know. Oh, yes. So yeah, you have to be careful with what exactly are we talking about here, right? So it is a growth, which means you're going to have a times 1 plus the rate to the t power. So then you have to add the 1 to the percent. So what's your final answer then? If you change your percent to a decimal, right? Yes, very good. We change it to a decimal, get rid of this percent symbol, and then you add a 1. Your answer is 1.03. Do you see how it's easier just to start on the left side, starting on the left side, and then you could put your decimal anywhere? You will have these gridables, okay? Even the online testers, you'll have these gridables, okay? So on paper, online testers, you're going to need to know how to fill out these gridables. Make sure you bubble the correct circle when you're filling these out, okay? So this is exactly how your answer should look whenever you have one of these types of gridables. Okay. Ooh, I'm glad we're going over these. Let's jump to the next problem, number 7. Okay, so we are now on page 208, number 7. It says radioactive materials can be described using half-lives. For every half-life that passes, the amount of radioactive material decreases by 50%. If you begin with 40 grams of material, which function can you use to find the amount of the substance that remains after H half-lives? Okay, there was a couple of keywords here. You will get word problems, guys. You're going to get word problems like this. So you need to identify what's important right now. What matters is that they're telling you that the material decreases by 50%. Is that a growth or a decay? Yep. Okay, so then, since we know it's a decay, we are for sure going to use the 1 minus r, okay, to the t power. Okay, so go ahead and figure it out. I think you guys probably already know which one is correct, right? Since our initial amount, you begin with 40. That's your first number here. All of them have the 40. but we're going to do 1 minus 0.50. That's what we're going to end up with. So the best answer here is letter D. Okay, raise your hand if you knew that was the answer. Yay, that's awesome. Okay. Okay, number 9 says, a new Amiga computer costs $2,000 each year. The value decreased by 1/4. Which function can be used to find the value of an Amiga at the end of X years? Okay, we know that for sure the initial cost is 2,000. That should be the first number. And is this a growth or is it a decay? So it is a decay because it says decreased, and it says it was decreased by 1/4. Okay, so you need to know, what does that mean, 1/4? 1/4 is the same thing as saying, well, if you have a quarter, that's right, 0.25. That's right, that's a quarter. So we are going to say 1 minus, and that is going to be a number for the inside of the parentheses. The best answer here is letter D. Very good, guys. Okay, any questions for me so far? How are we doing? Are we understanding what we're doing here? Okay, good. All right, let's move on to number 11. Number 11 says, the graph of an exponential function contains the points 1, 2, and 144. What is the function? Okay, so here we're going to work this one out together. There's several things we could do. First of all, remember that an exponential function, you have to be careful, because if in the question it says exponential, you should think y equals ab to the x power. So y equals ab to the x power. Find the ratio between successive values of y. So here we are going to use the 144 and the 24, okay? So the ratio, what we're going to do is we're going to use b as the ratio of 144 to 24. And when you do this, you get 6. So this is kind of brand new to us, right? To find a, you're going to substitute either point into the equation, okay? So right now we know that y equals a times 6 to the x power. That's a 6. So we're going to pick a point and plug it in. For example, if we decide to use this point right here, so the 2 and 144, then we would say 144 equals, we're looking for a, times 6. So here you would do 6 times 6, right? So you have 144 equals 36 times a. Divide both sides by 36. And what does a equal? Somebody figure it out. What does a equal? Very good, that's right. A is 4. So the best answer here is which one? Yep, letter A. Okay. Now, what you could do is you could use the points to just double check. You go back and substitute and see if it's equal to both sides, okay? Okay, so that was number 11. Let's go to the next problem, number 13. What is the exponential function contained in the 4 points whose coordinates are given in the table below? Okay, so here you can actually find out by plugging in the table into the calculator, and it will tell you the equation. You can also do it by hand by calculating the ratios. Remember I told you that you can find B by doing the ratios. And so, for example, you can do -12 over -2. And that gives you B, which is 6. And then, of course, you pick a point. Let's say we pick this one, plug it in, and then you can find your equation. You can find A. So I would say -2 equals A times 6 to the 0 power. Well, 6 to the 0 power is 1. So -2 equals A. And there it is. So when you do y equals AB to the x power, we can see that A is -2 times 6 to the x power. And the best answer here is letter B. Now, if you think you'll forget, you can plug in this table into the calculator. Remember that when you do the spreadsheets, you know how at the top it says A and B? You have to call it X and Y. You put your table in you put the spreadsheets. You're going to go to menu 3.9 for quick graph, fix X and Y. Then you want to go to menu 4, 6, 8. And 8 is going to be called exponential. That's what you want. You want it to give you the equation in exponential form. Okay? I don't have my calculator up, so I'm not able to show you how to get the equation. But I know for sure those are the steps. And if I open my calculator, it's just going to mess up my computer, so I can't do that right now. Okay, let's move on. Number 15, the table shows the x and y coordinates of some points on the graph of an exponential function. Based on the table, which function represents the same relationship? Okay, so we're definitely going to use y equals AB to the x power. We want to find out what A is, what B is. If you notice here, as x increases by 1, right, the value in y is half the previous. Notice here how it's going by half, right? Of x is an exponential decay function, and b is 0.5, right? B is 0.5. Because remember, we have to do b equals, you get 1 over 2. So it's 1 over 2, which is 0.5, okay? There we go. Okay. The variable a represents the initial amount. Can you find out the initial amount here without doing the math? What's the initial amount? What's the y-intercept? Yep, it is 2. So where a is, that's going to be 2. So already you can eliminate b and you can eliminate c. Ooh, we have an answer already. Very good. That's correct. Okay, so B is out and C is out, and the correct answer here is A. Very good. Let's move on to the next problem. Number 17 is asking you which rule matches the graph. Here, the best answer is B, because look, the y-intercept is at -2, and the only one that has -2 is right here, okay? Number 19, it's asking you what exponential function models the situation. I'm going to tell you the answer already, that way you can go back and just check it, but the answer is not here. Okay, number 21. What function models the values of the bids? Here on number 21, the answer is A. Remember, you can use the calculator, plug it in, and you can get the equation. Or you could do the ratio, right? And find out B and then find out A. Number 23. What is the equation of the function? So here you can see that the initial is 160. They all have it. And look how it's decreasing. So it's going to be A on this one. For sure not C. C is increasing. It's a growth. Oh, that's the last one. Okay, your assignment is you're going to do all of the serious problems for this one, and you're going to input into the serious website. Any questions for me? Yes, we have homework. It's going to be it's going to be all the serious problems from these pages. All the problems.